This story hits close to home because my dad was a black farmer, discriminated when federal government decided to give land grant, massive money to white farmers, while it was discriminating against black farmers who were equal qualified. Government years ago settled with many of those black farmers, and my dad was part of it. Helped me to have some ease. Now, there's a $12 billion aid grant on the table for farmers. But according to black farmers, black folk not receive any of this money possible. Put it up for that. The Trump administration announced on Monday that American farmers will now receive $12 billion in relief aid as they struggle to keep their farms afloat amid rising costs and a declining market. While farmers welcome the economic relief, black farmers, none of whom were invited to the White House on Monday for the round, are likely to see little of the benefits due to cultural, historical barriers. You're looking at Mr. John Boyd. Mr. Boyd is the founder and president of the National Black Farmers Association. Told the Griot after Monday's announcement, quote, "That's not going to help farmers like myself."
When a child is in the hospital, visitors come to say hello. And when visiting hours are over, they leave.
Who need help now. And many black farmers aren't going to get, this stuff is really more money for large-scale white farmers, point blank. And black farmers ain't going to get a dime. It's not targeted for us in the first place, end quote. Boyd, who represents 150,000 black farmers nationwide, explained that due to institutional barriers and cultural mistrust, black farmers have of the federal government as a result of decades of racial discrimination. Most black farmers do not report their acreage to the USDA, which is part of the requirement to receive the latest $12 billion relief. During a recent national conference with thousands of black farmers, Boyd said members were instructed to get a farm serial number and report their acreage to the USDA, which was met with pushback. They were saying, quote, "I don't want the government to know all my business, how much I'm planting, what I'm planting, when I'm planting it. And they don't want to help me," Boyd recalled. Quote, "I see and feel that argument. I do because I've been there. But also, when there's a pot of money like this, if you're not in that system, and if you're not set up, you can't get the money." Now, I want to remind.
All right. I want to say shalom, shalom. First, I want to open up by saying, Kol Haloyim, La Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and bishops and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Shalom to you fellow laborers out there doing the work in truth and in sincerity, especially during these times. Shalom to the few Akwaf that believe as well. A hearty shalom to you other laborers and believers that are scattered throughout the face of the earth, even if you're among the heathen and even look like the heathen who are speckled bird Israelites, to the household of faith, which is the elect. I want to say shalom to you. And fair use, fair use. Of course, my videos are not monetized, only for literary commentary and biblical purposes. You know, so with that, fair use, fair use. Yeah, man, you know, I seen this video and I instantly was like, yeah, man, the curses, man. You know, because that's one thing about us Israelites, man, from Judah, which is the so-called Negro or blacks. You know, they've been labeled African Americans, you know, which part of that covering cast over over the people, especially our people. But you know, in particular, you know, the so-called Negro here in America, all right, is, you know, the tribe of Judah. And you know, John Boyd, he heads, you know, the Black Farmers of America, you know, association that advocates for rights for so-called black farmers, all right, for the farming families. And, you know, that's a good thing he's doing, but what he don't realize is that, you know, it was not meant for him to have these things. You know, the fact that he have a farm, you know, is just the Lord, you know, allow him, you know, or blessed him to have it, you know. And that's just what it is, man. You know, there's nothing wrong with having your own land. You're supposed to have your own land. You're supposed to have your own land to farm on and stuff like that. But, you know, we're not in our rest right now, which is the kingdom. You know, matter of fact, I'll come back there. Let's get this, Micah 2, because we continue to tell our people over and over and they don't get it. But It's the absolute truth is that, this is not our rest. So let's read it. Micah 2:10, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. All right, America. All right, being in these strange lands is not the land of Israel. This is not our rest, man, because when we were scattered, as a nation, it was not for our good. It was, to be punished. Okay. So, where we scattered to, we wouldn't find no ease or rest. Let's get this in Deuteronomy 28. Let's get that. Let me see. Matter of fact, let's start at 15. It says, Deuteronomy 28:15, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses, which are evil or bad things from the Heavenly Father, shall come upon thee and overtake thee. All right, so when you look at the curses, right, I'm kind of going to jump around a bit to show you, man, all right, that that these curses apply to us, man. All right. I'm going to read the NLT too. Verse 33 on the NLT. A foreign nation, I just dealing with the land, but you can apply it to wherever we at. All right, because wherever we at, we under the curses. It says, a foreign nation you have never heard about will eat the crops you worked so hard to grow. You will suffer under constant oppression and harsh treatment. And this is what John Boyd is fighting against, against oppression and harsh treatment. And you hear from the words he was saying that Dr. Rashad Ritchie was reading, that John Boyd was frustrated and he was mad because, and the scriptures say what? Surely oppression maketh the wise man mad. Now, John Boyd, not a man of the Lord, but he understand because he's a Jake, man. All right. And Jake understand the natural course of life as far as how to, the basic things on how to live, according to, how you live off the land and stuff like that, And so, of course, he's feeling it. That's why he said what? He feel the argument is going to come behind it. Because Esau going to find a way to exempt or withhold relief from Jake, And that's what it is, man. All right. Let's see here. Verse 38. It says, you will plant much, but harvest little, for locusts will eat your crops. Now you can apply it to the day as well, because guess what? The so-called black farmers, they plant, and remember they've been doing good, during this troubling time. But now, it's coming to the point where they're doing bad, because for some time where Esau was committing suicide and shit like that, going bankruptcy, closing down their farms, Jake was doing okay. Jake was doing all right, right? So now you look at Jake now. Now Jake is feeling it because why? Esau ain't gonna let Jake, out prosper him in his own kingdom, okay? Because this is the kingdom of the Edomites, man. And this is every time, Jake would do good for himself on their own. Here comes the devil that come in and sabotage what Jake built up for themselves. But again, going back to Micah 2:10, it says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction, because our rest is going to be in the kingdom of heaven. And we Israelites have to remember that, okay? Our rest is the kingdom of heaven, where we're going to have all this land, because all this land belongs to us, all this land on the earth is made for the sake of us Israelites. So you're going to have that land in the kingdom, and then guess what? You ain't going to have to till the land, okay? You're going to actually have heathen tending to your crops, all right? When harvest time come, matter of fact, they're going to plant it. They're going to plant the seed, plant your crops, all right? When they come down, the line to harvest them, they're going to gather the harvest, man. They're going to gather that harvest in. We going to have to lift a finger or a hand to do shit, all right? We going to have to lift, nothing to do nothing. We ain't going to do no labor. All right, we're going to have slaves. Hey, royal people have slaves. You see what I'm saying? And we are the royal people on the earth. So by default, we're going to have slaves. It says what? Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance in the uttermost parts of the earth. See? So it's all about inquiring, all right, to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, okay? It's all about serving Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, all right? All right? And that's why people don't have the connection of what it takes to serve and please the Lord. You know, only the elect, man. You know, because you know, again, what he's doing is a good thing, but Esau ain't gonna let him have it, man. Let's go back to the video clip. I'll let you hear a little more. Again, fair use, fair use.
So you want to start a business. You might think you need a team of people and fancy tech skills, but you don't. You
should like you for the commercials, you know.
6 against farmers in the United States, in which decades later, the American public paid. All right. Senator, thoughts here.
Yeah, Doctor, thanks for sharing your family's history and legacy. My great-grandfather, owned some land as well. And I remember my mother telling me he was always afraid that white people were going to come and try to steal it from him. And
that's true. That's true. Because guess what? While all these, farming families, whether it be Jake or Esau, all right, are losing their farms. Well, Jake been maintaining their farms, but a lot of the Edomites been losing their farms. Guess who's buying those farms up? Gil Bates. And this motherfucker just buying them up just because. And they creating GMO food, been doing this for years. And then this nigga, making lab grown meat. So you don't know what the fuck you eating, man. And John Boyd understand, hey, we gotta grow our own shit. Jake understand that we gotta grow our own shit. Now you got a lot of Jake, they depend on, fucking market stores, but Jake's with the mind like John Boyd, or grew up in that kind of environment. Like myself, I grew up in that kind of environment, so I know how vital it is to have your own shit as far as farming. That's one thing I hate about living in the city. You don't have access to that farming food, which is, a lot better than getting it from the fucking market stores, And then, all kind of shit happen to you because all the chemicals they spray on the shit. So, man, that's why you got to pray over your food, man. Because, again, Ezekiel 4, it says what? That we're going to eat our bread defiled among the Gentiles, man. Okay? But let me get this real quick. Some more. I want to get some more. Let me see. Verse, let me read down. Verse 43, it says, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. And, you look at how, Jake is as a whole, man. These heathen are above us as far as on the, scale of, prospering and doing well for themselves. They able to do that, but we're not. Because, wow, we're under these curses, man. So you'll see, these heathens, they'll come over here and they'll come up, For a long while, you've seen that. Now, it's dying out because, why? Babylon is dying out. But for some time, it happened. And Esau, he going to make sure that he's, he going to make sure that these curses on your ass, you're going to feel them. Which, Esau's a swerve, he's part of that swerve of the Lord. So he gonna make sure he, make your fucking life hell, man. Verse 44, he shall lend to thee and thou shalt not lend to him. Right. Just like even if Jake had access to this fucking relief fund or relief funding, guess what? They will make the relief fund, all right, very small in portion, and then if they have to pay it back, guarantee you Jake got to pay a higher interest rate, versus the Edomite. See? It says, he shall be the head and thou shalt be the tail. You're going to be last. From Judah on down to the rest of us, we're going to be last, as a nation. And they're going to be the head. Verse 45, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua thy power, to keep his commandments and the statutes which I commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee, right? One of the key points. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, right? For a long period of time. And this is why John Boyd and the rest of the Black Farmers Association, why they basically in a state of mourning, because they realize what's going on. Okay? And they fucking, they fucking fed up with Esau, man. Only 150,000, And what Esau gonna do? He gonna starve Jake out. Okay? That's what he's gonna do, man. He gonna starve Jake out and cause Jake to basically go bankrupt. Watch. But that's the devil for you, man. Let's get that John 10:10. It says, John 10:10, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. Right, and that's what Esau does, man. He's a thief in the earth. He's always stealing somebody else's shit, man. He's always murdering and destroying other people's land and people. Right? That's his fucking MO. That's his track record, man. That's why he's known as the wicked. It says, I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. Right, and how are we going to have life more abundantly? In the kingdom. Not in fucking Babylon, not in America. Again, this is not our rest. Okay? So the hell you catching is warranted, because why? Our rest is the kingdom to come. Okay? Let's play a little more. Again, fair use, fair use.
I'll come and try to steal it from them. And, we know that there's a legacy of that. But despite all of that, there used to be, I want to share some figures with our audience, that the number of black farmers in America peaked in 1920, where there were almost 1 million black American farmers. Almost 1 million, if you can just wrap your mind around that.
From 1 million in 1920s, man, that's crazy work. I mean, Jake was thriving, man. Jake was fucking thriving. Now it's down to 150,000. I wonder how that happened. That's only a few generations ago. How the fuck that happened? This goddamn devil, man. Esau, the so-called and self-proclaimed white man. That's how. Fucking thief, man. And he do it by way of his fucking laws, man. You heard what Dr. Richard was reading about what John Boyd was saying. You gotta check in with the USDA. USDA is backed by what? U.S. penal codes and regulations and laws. Okay? And you got to be within their regulations and laws, man, in order to get certain shit. And they can make up anything to shut you down. We all know that. So this is Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and their right grievousness which they have prescribed. Right, because the laws of this land are already set up to cause you to fail, Jake. And this ain't nothing but a throne of iniquity, man. A throne of wickedness, a kingdom of wickedness, man. So this is what it is, man. All right, this is what it is, man. And we have to understand that as a people, man. This is why we gotta lean and depend on Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, man. Let's read a little more.
And if you could just wrap your mind around that, compared to today, 95% of the farmers in the United States are white. So all farmers are suffering. Black farmers always suffer disproportionately because black people suffer disproportionately.
Because you're under the curses. Damn, Jake, man. You're under the curses, man. Okay? Jake don't understand. They They think they can do everything on their own. You can't do shit without Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Everything you set forth your hand to do without Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, you're going to fucking fail, man. Can't you get this to your head, man? This is why the Lord said you have forsaken me for naught. You know? And that's the whole thing, man. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, I'm back, Shalakia. Let's play a little more of this video clip and we ready to close.
In this country. And so it doesn't matter what profession we are in, you pull us out. If there's suffering to be had, that's us disproportionately. This is cruel, and the president knows it. And he's not the first president. He shouldn't be doing this. He does not have to do this. He can do something a different way, not letting President Donald J. Trump off the hook. But I need us to understand that he is not the first president or the first person to yield this kind of power and put forth policies that make it harder for black folks. Even FDR, as great and understanding as he was, the New Deal.
Ain't that a bitch? Great and understanding as he was.
In order to negotiate with white Southern electeds, Democrats, they deal the way black people, Doc. So it's the same scheme. It's just a different day. So domestic work and farmers left out of portions of the New Deal. Why? Because those jobs, especially on the domestic side, primarily black people, primarily black women. So there's always a way for America to do these things. And they don't even have to say the word black. That has a way to disproportionately hurt us. In earlier segments, we were even talking about employment and what this president has done to disrupt and destroy the federal government, departments within the federal government. Black women.
Yeah, so, man, yeah. Let's get into that old shit, you know. Let's grab this real quick. Black women, you know, whatever. This is Psalms 10 and 2. It says, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. All right, matter of fact, let's read the NLT. The wicked arrogantly hunt down the poor. Right, because they hunt you down by way of their legislation, man. All right, that's why it says in Wisdom of Solomon 2. All right, let me get that real quick. This is how they get you to crumble, Jake. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 verse 11. Verse 11 says, let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be worth nothing. Right. So they use their laws to cause you to fail, Jake. And it's so easy for you to break their law because you don't know about it anyway. They don't make you aware of it. And they law backs them up, not you, Jake. You know? Verse 12, therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous. Right, who's the righteous? Jacob. Jacob is a righteous seed, and the wicked seed is Esau. Right, it says, because it says, therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, for he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. See? He upbraided us with our offending the law and objected to our infamy, the transgressions of our education. Right, because ultimately Jake don't even gotta know the scriptures. It's just the way Jake live, like John Boyd, as far as like how he farming and shit. And I guarantee he farming the right way. That right there is reproving Esau, because Esau don't know how to do things. Because going back to the curse of Cain, hey, the earth ain't gonna yield forth their strength to him. So every time Esau put forth his hand to try to do anything as far as agriculture, whatever, in the earth, it always failed. It caused the earth to be in the worst condition each time, you know? Because why? It ain't going to yield the strength to him. So everything will away under this man's rulership. All right? And that proves that fucking Cain, which is, reincarnated as Esau, he's ruling, man. All right? Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed it. And out of Esau, you have what? Amalek. Amalek being what? The chief of the nations. Because you look at who owns the land of America. It's these goddamn Amalekites. The main landlords of America is the Amalekites. And they allow their princes, which is the billionaires, the Elon Musk's of the world and the Gil Bates of the world to prosper while everybody else suffer. That proves that, they're They're unrighteous as far as their doings. They're the wicked, man. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 10. Let me see. Salakia. Turn the fucking music on. I ain't want to get a copyright. Salakia. This is the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 10. Yeah, con. Ecclesiastes 10 and 16, and I'm gonna read the NLT. It says, What sorrow for the land ruled by a servant, the land whose leaders feast in the morning, right? Because who's the ones that's getting the benefit off these lands? The Gil Bates, the Elon Musk, the Amalek, man. Look at the Vanguard, BlackRock. Them all owned by the tiny tops, man. So they're feasting, man. All right. Verse 17. In order to, and just in the carnal sense, in order to feast, you gotta have some, like a real feast. You gotta have some kind of wealth, man. To have a real feast. And how you get wealth? Through resources. Who got all the resources? Who steals all the resources and get rich off of them? Amalek. So that's what's going on, man. That's why we need Yahweh Bashim Yahushua to destroy this man. All right? Because you ain't going to have no ease or rest or you're going to be you ain't going to be free. All right? Until Yahweh Bashim Yahushua set us free. Okay? You ain't going to have, the abundances of life that the Lord is willing to or going to give us. You ain't going to have that until this place is finished, man. And that's why scriptures say what? In Ecclesiastes, better is the end of a thing than the beginning. Because only a wicked Israelite will want to stay in this fucking place, man. They want to stay in spiritual Egypt, which is bondage. Okay? But, hey, man, it is what it is, man. Only the elect going to understand. All right, and realize that, hey, our kingdom is the kingdom to come. So, hey, with that, all praise and glory be unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak Wadash. Hey, shalom to next time. I'll say shalom to you, elect of the nation of Israel, and the Bible bar. Shalom.